Okay, everybody, welcome back to the video. In this particular video, it's a training session. We're going to take a look at how you can rip your 3-wood from the ground. Many golfers will struggle with this particular club. I'm going to give you some real key pointers here that's going to transform you hitting that fairway wood off the ground. Okay, so why is 3-wood so hard to hit from the ground for many golfers? Well, let's think about it. It's the least amount of loft that you're going to hit when the ball is on the ground. Okay, unless you're hitting drivers off the ground, which not many golfers will entertain that. This is always a tougher club to use. So some key things we need to make sure we get right to obviously perfect the strike and get that ball actually launched in the air. Now, the first real simple one to get right is obviously your ball position in your stance, because that can obviously indicate where our low point is going to be. So many golfers I find will always try and play the ball maybe a little bit too central in the stance, or even sometimes too far forward in a bid to try and get that ball launched in the air. Now, obviously, where we hit the ball in terms of that low point is going to dictate on the loft that we deliver at impact, which is absolutely key. So generally most 3-woods are going to be around that sort of 15-degree mark. So in an ideal world, we want to be playing this ball more in the forward section of the stance. Now, obviously, drive will go more inside left heel. You know, your irons maybe a little bit more into that central position, and that's typically where I find golfers will put the 3-wood, because they get the success maybe with that iron. They then want to put the 3-wood in that position. So, for instance, if you play that ball too much central in your stance, you're typically going to hit a little bit too down on the golf ball. If we hit down on it, we're going to present less loft. So we're going to turn that 15-degree 3-wood potentially nearly like a driver loft at impact. It's going to be incredibly hard to get that ball launched unless you've got a load of speed. Vice versa, if we play that ball too far forward in stance, we end up hitting too far on the way up, and we tend to hit a lot of sort of thin shots or strikes very low in the club face. Again, we know low strikes will always get that ball launching out very low. Again, tough to sort of launch that golf ball. So the first key thing we're going to get right is that ball position. Great tip to do that. If you start with the feet together, so the ball's directly in front of our feet, we've got our target line. We may be picking that point on the ground, which helps with alignment, obviously. And what I'd like to do here with that lead foot, just take a little small step, and then the rest of your stance with that trail foot. And you can see that just positions the ball nicely. You know, probably a club head width inside that left heel. It's a little bit forward in the stance. We can hit it a little bit more on our lowest point, which is going to help us to deliver some loft and get that ball flighted. Right, so we've got our ball position in the right spot. Great. Okay, now what do we do in terms of a weight transfer through the golf swing? Again, if you are struggling to launch that golf ball, then you might say if you've got the ball position in the right spot, but then we're in maybe in a movement where with the body, we're trying to maybe sort of help the golf ball up. We're trying to sort of hang back. We don't transfer our weight. We maybe don't make that contact with the ground. We come up through the ball. Again, the strike really suffers. So we've got to now trust that the ball's in the right position. We can move, we can transfer and complete our golf swing. And the key thing I want you to sort of think about here is making that little bit of that contact on the ground with the sole of the golf club. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be taking divots here, but definitely need to have that little brushing of the grass with the sole of the fairway wood. So let's rehearse that a couple of times. Just try and feel that contact, and you'll notice there where that contact is on the ground. See, I just brushed the grass there. I'm going to have a little bit more contact than that on this one. That's perfect. Just that little disturbance there. It's not a divot, but I know I'm going to get to the bottom of that golf ball, and I'm going to get the strike up the club face where the loft is, and that's going to help me launch that golf ball. Now, what you'll also notice as I'm doing that is I'm making my weight transfer. So from the top, I'm transferring through, and I'm finishing fully on the lead side. Okay, so I'm not hanging back. I'm not trying to help the ball into the air. Okay, so got my ball position there, happy with that. I'm now going to concentrate on making a little bit of contact on that ground. Oh, that is absolutely ripped. Just want to hit them all like that every single time. Okay, so there are two real key tips there to really try and help you with your fairway wood off the ground. The third one I'm going to talk about here is what we're probably going to do when we get to the golf ball. Assess what is the lie like with the ball on the ground. Are you on the fairway? Are you in that first cut or rough? Choose when to play the 3-wood and when, more importantly, when not to play it. Yes, you might have a long way still to go for that second shot, You know, you think, well, I want to hit 3 wood, get as far down as I can to that hole, make the next shot a lot easier. But look at your lie. That is really, really key. Now, obviously, this is a bit more of a fairway lie, so I'm putting my club behind the golf ball, and first instincts there, I think, yeah, that sat really nice. I feel I can get that club working underneath that golf ball. Gives me a little bit of confidence to play that club. Now, fairway lie here, I'm just going to move into a little bit of a depression, like a little bit of an old divot there. So, okay, so obviously that ball's just sat down that tiny bit. I put the club behind the ball. Next thing you know, the club looks to be a little bit higher up in terms of where the ball is. So again, that doesn't fill me with confidence now. It doesn't feel like I'm going to be struggling to get the ball in the air. It would feel like I need to sort of get down and dig that golf ball. But remember, if we hit down, we're going to present less loft. Difficult to flight that golf ball. So I would be choosing maybe a more lofted fairway, possibly that 7 wood if you're carrying something like that, or you might be going into your hybrid now with a little bit more loft. Accept that you're going to be a little bit short, but you know, try and get that shot away as best you can. Get the strike, a little bit of loft, you'll actually probably get a bit more distance than you would do on a poorly struck 3 wood. Okay, so different scenario now. Hit the tee shot, I've come off the fairway, I'm now in the rough, okay? And again, first thing I'm going to do is look at how that ball lies. And do you know what? That luckily, on this particular occasion, that ball is just sat up a little bit. I put my club behind the ball, it's a little bit like it's on a tee pad. I'm straight into that 3 wood. I know it's going to be a little bit easier. Again, I'm going through my routine that we've just talked about, get my right ball position, okay, make sure I contact a bit of this grass, but bearing in mind this ball's sat up a little bit now, so I'm not going to contact the solid ground that can be obviously a few inches lower than the actual grass. Think if it's teed up, but I do want to make contact with the grass, still get my weight transfer. And again, that's ripped off the top. That's an easier option, isn't it? It's a little bit like it's on a tee peg. Okay, now unfortunately we don't always get those perfect lies. Generally the weight of the golf ball will settle itself down into that rough. So different scenario now, just going to move this around a little bit, let that sit down, is now this ball's just sat in its like a little depression in this longer grass of the rough. So as I pop the club down by the golf ball now, as we mentioned when that ball was in a divot on that fairway, the club is now higher than the ball, okay, but I've also got a good bit of chunking. This is quite lush as well, lush grass between club face and golf ball. We know that it's just going to kill ball speed. We know that ball sat down is going to make it a little bit tougher to launch. Do we want to be risking hitting that 3 wood and potentially putting it 20, 30, 50 yards in front of you, or should we take that, maybe that sort of mid-iron even at this point? You might feel confident with that lofted hybrid. Get to the bottom of that golf ball, get the ball up in the air and get it down that fairway. Generally get a lot more success. So probably the choice here, let's leave 3 wood in the bag. Let's not hit it. Yes, we've got a long ways to go. Let's play the percentages, put some loft in your hand, get that ball back into play.